Hi, today I'm going to be talking to you about one of my favorite movies, The Hunt for Red October, released in 1990 written by Tom Clancy. And this is going to be a character development type of video about these characters and how they've gone from one arc to another. And it's one of my favorite movies. And in particular, the scene that I want to talk to you guys about is the scene that nobody really takes into consideration. They love the action and stuff like that about it, which has great action. It's going to be great. I love it. I love this movie, and I really want to talk about this movie because this is one of the scenes I love in a movie that I love. So let's talk about it.
The most brilliant commander in the Soviet Navy.
Ramey has trained most of their officer corps. He's nearly a legend in the submarine community.
The most deadly submarine ever built.
This thing could park a couple of hundred warheads off Washington. Nobody'd know a thing about it until it was all over.
And once more, we play our dangerous game with our old adversaries, the American Navy.
His plan is a mystery.
A man with your responsibilities reading about the end of the world.
Apparently, he has suffered a kind of nervous breakdown in which he announced his intention to fire his missiles on the United States.
You want us to help you hunt him down, kill him?
Open the outer doors, firing point procedures.
We sail into history.
I'm gonna blow him right to Mars.
Ramius might be trying to defect.
You're just an analyst. What can you possibly know what goes on in this mind?
I'll give you 3 days to prove your theory correct.
I am not field personnel. I am only an analyst.
You're perfect.
I'm expendable.
He's defecting. You willing to bet your life on that?
From the best-selling novel by Tom Clancy. From the director of Die Hard.
Give this man a chance.
My orders are specific. Battle stations.
Sean Connery, Alec Baldwin, James Earl Jones, Scott Glenn, Sam Neill. The Hunt for Red October.
So, The Hunt for Red October was written by Tom Clancy back in 1982. I remember buying this book back in early 1980s or middle 1980s. The suspenseful movie was something out of the ordinary back in those days. It stars Sean Connery as Marco Ramius, who is referred to as the villainous Nastaviak, which is villainous schoolmaster. It also stars Scott Glenn in a perfect role that he was made for, and as the captain of the Dallas, and he was pretty good in this movie. Pretty spectacular, very convincing to me as just a regular guy. Very convincing as a captain. He commanded authority. It also stars Sam Neill, the great Sam Neill, as Lieutenant Borodin, Captain Ramius' executive officer. That's what he is. In our terms, he's his number 2 man. He has a very tragic arc, but he's one of the people that we root for big time in this movie because his needs and his wants are very simple and they're very American. They're very capitalistic. That's okay. And of course, our hero of the stories of every Tom Clancy book is Jack Ryan, here portrayed from Alec Baldwin. We had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, I think. I'm not sure. But Harrison Ford and Alec Baldwin are my Jack Ryans. That's for sure. Ramius' submarine, the Red October, is virtually invisible. And Jack thinks that he wants to defect. Nobody else really understands this. Nobody wants to think that this could happen. They just think that he's going to go and blow shit up. When the American sub, the Dallas, when it finds it, it doesn't even understand what is found because it's silent. It's a silent propulsion drive called the Caterpillar. I want to talk to you about is Borodin and Ramius in the cabin, and they are discussing what's it going to be like to live in America. And for Borodin especially, it's a kind of a heart-wrenching scene because he is, well, what happens to him later? And all he wants to do is just fantasize about living in Montana.
We're emerging from the route, Captain. I've ordered a routine clearing of the baffles, and we'll be making the first turn in a few minutes. Caterpillar is operational and appears to be running normally. The crew know about the saboteur, and they are afraid.
That could be useful when the time comes.
You know, we could make the Labrador coast in 16 hours.
Half of them would freeze before they were rescued. No, it's Massachusetts or Maine in 48 hours.
2 days. Do you think they will let me live in Montana?
I would think they'll let you live wherever you want.
Good. Then I will live in Montana. And I will marry a round American woman and raise rabbits. And she will cook them for me. And I will have a pickup truck. Or possibly even a recreational vehicle. And drive from state to state. Do they let you do that?
Yes.
No papers?
No papers. State to state.
All right, commence your turn.
Well then, in winter I will live in Arizona. Actually, I think I will need 2 wives.
Oh, at least.
This is the kind of scene that you always want to see in every single movie. The character development, the Marco Ramius and Borodin, especially in this clip, what their innermost desires are, what they yearn for. Even though they're from a different land, a different culture, it really brings to light that they are just regular people, just like you and I. They want to have freedom again, or for the first times in their lives. Captain Ramius just wants to know the joy of fishing. He's been very unhappy and very disillusioned by the Soviet governments and their practices. And for Borodin, he just wants to have a good plot of land, a good family, a good wife, maybe 2 wives, he says. And it's a very good, intimate scene between 2 guys who are really trustworthy of each other and who really love each other, really. Good friends. And in this instance, you can't differentiate between who are the bad guys and who are the good guys in this movie, because we're kind of rooting for everybody, except for, bad politicians. Now, we can always root against them, right? I really love the way that these men talk to each other. I really love when Borodin starts talking about his innermost desires. The look on Sean Connery's face as Captain Marco Ramius is priceless, because it's almost like he's seeing his friend for the very first time.
Must be something. What is it?
I miss the peace of fishing, like when I was a boy. 40 years living at sea. A war at sea. A war with no battles. No monuments. Only casualties. I widowed her the day I married her. My wife died while I was at sea, you know.
For Captain Marco Ramius, the defection is very personal to him. He doesn't really want to be a part of the politics anymore. He doesn't really want to blow up America. He knows that his country is very, very great. And he can see that the politicians are ruining it. And the people are not living a good life. It's his character that develops over time that makes him one of the good guys, because all he wants to do is just be a human being and be out of this political stuff, bullshit that they're going through, because governments and politicians, they all make us their pawns. And even though he has a very high ranking in the military, he still feels like a pawn, which he is. He's very intelligent, and he's a very considerable adversary to the Americans, should he ever go that route. And it's just this scene right here that brings a lot of character to this story, and it's very well-rounded. And you don't really get this much character development in a lot of movies nowadays, I fear. But luckily we got it here.
Черт! Виклотиет. Извините, una минутка. Пожалуйста. Смотри, позеленел чудак. Вольно?
Каков-нибудь покору.
So funny.
The captain seems to think you're some sort of cowboy.
New Parosky.
Немного.
What can I say about this movie? It's one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite movies. I love the characters. I love Ryan, how he uses his critical thinking and his intuition in every decision that he makes, every hunch that he does. He was a Marine, but he's not an aggressive Marine. He won't beat the shit out of you. He won't beat you into submission. He's the most intelligent character in this and any other Tom Clancy movies. Many times Ryan goes to battle himself to prove his opinion is accurate in most of these books and in this movie. He was so stubborn that he got onto a helicopter, even though years earlier, he had crashed onto the helicopter when he was a Marine and messed up his back really, really good. So he overcame that fear to do what was in his heart, when his mind was what was the right thing to do. Mancuso also, he's a submarine captain. He hates and detests and fears and is suspicious of all things Soviet Union, especially their naval captains. And over the course of the movie, he come from suspicion to trust when he sees what the captain is doing. And the theme of it, just them being human to each other, seeing their flaws, seeing their suspicious minds that the government has been indoctrinating them into all these years. You know, that side is bad, that side is good, this side is good, that side is bad. It just goes to show you that anybody can be corrupted by any ideology, and anybody can come back from that corruption. I could talk about this movie for 2 or 3 hours, but I won't. And I will stop now, and these are my thoughts about The Hunt for Red October. The book, maybe I could do a review of the book. But if you like this, and you like this kind of content, or if you don't, just leave me a comment, because I like to read the comments, and I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. I will see you on the other side.